All right, we are coming with a special new podcast we're doing with Johnny and Talik. How you guys doing?
Good.
Up.
What up?
All right. So they're coming to us live from Southern California, off the grid. Check out that sunset. We're going to be talking about EVs. Go ahead, tell us about this sunset.
Well, I think a picture is going to look better than a 1,000 words here.
Oh my God, that's amazing. Man, this is so cool. Thanks for being here. And yeah, tell us more about where you are. Like, where are we?
Fallbrook.
All right. So when this thing records, if you guys are talking, it'll record that. And then if I'm talking, it'll record me. So that's why I was getting you guys to talk during the sunset. Yeah. But anyway, so tonight's topic is all about being off grid and using hot rodding and just mechanical ingenuity, common sense, and some engineering combined with a little bit of welding and mechanics with Johnny 5, and Talik, Charge Positive. And we're going to talk about being off the grid and projects like that. I have a project here, but I want to get into your project first. So it's been a while since I did something live for my channel. Usually I do the Shop Class podcast. I do that once a week. And actually tomorrow's an insane guest. We have Gadget from Left.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Left Coast. Yeah. And he's coming in. And then it just happens to be. So the Shop Class podcast started as like a shop teacher talk to industry. But the problem is, because I do a lot of EV stuff, we always have a lot of EV guests. So I didn't want to saturate that audience with so much EV stuff, because they're like wood shop guys, teachers of metal shop, teachers of architecture. So I want to be more diverse over there. So what I decided was, we're going to start this Tuesday night, and we're going to talk to people like you, people who are doing off-grid EV stuff. And Charge Positive, he's kind of all over the Tesla scene as well, and EVLC and EV West, and just all the Southern California people. And so I thought it would be better to separate the channels. So this is my first effort towards that direction. And really, I'm here as a moderator, host, also participant, but really I want to hear from you guys. So, all right, Johnny, give us the deal. First of all, how are you?
Good, man. How you been?
Yeah. Dude, it's been wild, man. It's been wild. We just had a little winter break, and we're back at school. I did a little snowboarding and hurt my arm. So, you know.
Wow, nice. Just like me when I crashed my e-bike.
Oh, it's like, oh my God. But yeah, so it's not the same without you guys. I miss you guys. I miss Southern California. And yeah, this is a fun thing, a good catch up.
Yeah, sure.
So how far back should we go? You know, like, do you want to tell us like the beginning premise of your off-grid system?
We can go with the one. Oh, which one?
Okay, you have two of them. Am I right?
Yeah.
You got one at the home garage.
Yeah.
Okay. And you also, okay, let's focus on the Fallbrook. So the Fallbrook, you have like kind of like a mountainside perch a little bit, and you decided to get that thing off the grid. So how did that start up?
Well, I mean, when you start with just a dirt pile, it's pretty easy. So that's kind of the only option, is to putting, solar up here. Otherwise I have to pull in power, which I'm not going to do that. It just seems like
so you're off the grid. Like, you don't have any utility hookup at your property.
Zero. It's just dirt.
Wow.
So the water is rainwater. The power is obviously batteries and solar. And still go to McDonald's for food, but
dude, it's so interesting.
We got a fridge going here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So one of the things we're doing at the high school is we're going to have an off-grid trailer that serves food. And it's not going to cook the food because that requires, I think, more food oversight from New Jersey government operations. So there's a caterer that deals with the high school and, the cafeteria basically, and they actually do a pretty good job. And so the guy here is going to advise us. And what we got from him was, he said, if you can warm it, then it's just a prepping station and there's less regulations with that. And so I was like, okay, well, so we have a warmer, we have a fridge, a warmer. We're going to have a mini split so that the environment is warm or cool for the person serving. And then we're going to have panels, inverter, battery backup. So this is something we're doing. But what I notice is that anytime I talk about this, a lot of people want to do this, right? And you're already doing it. And so this is huge, having a piece of land and going off the grid. Not so much like, oh, because I'm trying to be green or whatever, but you're actually just making it practical for yourself.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's more or less a necessity at this point because pulling power is almost out of the question. But yeah, so getting enough juice here to make it comfortable was kind of just the goal.
Okay. So how should we approach this? Should we talk about power requirements or like the story of how this happened? Like I remember, I think we did some grinding years ago and we were cleaning off some metal and you had power. So how did you have power back then?
That was a little smaller inverter. I don't know if you remember that Ames 1500 watt inverter, and then an e-bike battery. And that's kind of how like a lot of this was put together until I could get a system in here. So, so until then, it was just that battery and the inverter, but now this place is loaded with batteries and more inverters and more.
Wow.
It's just a giant version of what we were doing back then.
So those who are just joining in, let me introduce. We got Sarah Lyons. How you doing?
Good.
Oh, I always add an S at the end of your name. Is it Sarah Lyon?
Yeah, just one lion.
Okay, gotcha. And she's awesome. As everybody should know, she's a mechanic and getting into the EV space, diving in. And she has taken multiple electric vehicle classes, and she has a partner in business, and they're working towards building an EV business out of it. So very cool. Part of the reason I came up with this podcast was actually from Sarah, because Sarah had given me a call, and she says, yeah, I just have a couple of questions here and there, and she's not the only one. A lot of people call. I don't know everything, but I've done a bunch of conversions, so I'm like, okay, well, maybe I could answer that. But even better would be like a once a week Q&A. And, we got Johnny. I mean, he's like got endless information. And, we also have, Terry, so it's like, we have so many people, and Talik is learning. So we have so many people that can put all this stuff together and answer the questions. So kind of like a casual get together, and also, let me introduce Terry. I'm on the range. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
And Terry has set up an EV show where it's like an education show. You want to tell us a little bit about it?
Sure. Yeah. So it's a conference called State of Charge, and it's an educational conference for performance EV conversions. So we basically do a bunch of educational sessions, if you will, about various topics. And then in addition, we do behind the build sessions where we have folks talk specifically about their builds. So yeah, it's been super well received. Got had people from, I think now 18 states in the US come out to Colorado, from Canada, United Kingdom. And we've featured cars and builders Kevin Erickson and the Electrolyte, Mr. Mopar Man, of course, and the Flash Drive guys, and Inspire EV, and E-Muscle Cars, and on and on and on. So we've had some really super cool cars over the years, and usually we have keynote speakers. Yeah, the website is being updated. I'm a little behind on that. I was hoping to launch it today, actually, but
that's all right.
I'm probably going to be. Actually, if you go to soc23.com, that's last year's site, should still be up.
Okay, I'll get it.
Kind of get a sense, but
if you send me a link in the chat, I'll pull it up quicker.
Okay.
Cool. Now I got to tell you, if anyone has not been to Golden, Colorado, and the Red Rocks, you got to go there. I mean, there's no better place to have a car show. It is absolutely beautiful there. Super cool.
Hey, Rob, real quick, just a little bit of housekeeping. Since I logged in on my account, I don't use Meets very often, but is there a way for me to change the name so I can put both of our names here? Do you know how to do that?
That's a good question. That I don't know how to change the name.
Okay.
Yeah. That I don't know how to do. Just write it on a marker and put up a piece of paper on that fridge back there. No, but everybody knows Johnny 5. We can put up do you have a website yet, Johnny?
Page.
Oh,
there you go.
So it's just a splash page.
Okay.
So,
but I could pull up the Instagram and some of the YouTubes. The YouTubes, that's a way to do it.
Yeah.
And people should tune in because I got to tell you, of course, there's a lot of hot rodding out there and fast cars, but Johnny's done something kind of cool with your practical small pickup truck, which is I'm a fan of because I drove a Ford Ranger for 16 years. And Johnny's doing a Toyota Hilux, which is kind of like the Ranger competitor, and it's incredibly done. So we'll go through that project as well. Some of these projects they'll save you financially. Like that Ford Ranger saved me so much money that I was able to buy other stuff and move ahead with my career and stuff. It's amazing what a small truck will do, and so now it's electrified, which is super cool. Yeah. Okay, we got some more people coming in. So Terry, when's your state of charge coming up? When's the next one?
So I'm looking at venues actually this week. So it'll either be in July or August of this year. So hopefully we'll be making some announcements in the next couple of weeks to firm up all the details. But
nice.
Yeah, should be good.
Yeah. And you also have a project you're working on, and which I previewed a little bit in my Instagram. I'll pull that up in a sec. And that was the station wagon Corvair.
Yeah, 61 Corvair Lakewood wagon.
That is super cool.
Yeah,
very cool. So, all right, so let's go back. Let's get back to Johnny. And so, how did this all start out? What was the first like off-grid system you had? It was this portable thing for just grinding, right?
I mean, the very first off-grid. So I guess as far as up here goes, yeah, there's that little portable thing. But I had that other Powerwall that I built. It's like 6 years ago. I think that's when I built it. And that thing's been going for a while now in my other shop. So I guess that's when it started.
Yeah. And Paula, can you put in the YouTube channel for Johnny on the chat? Yeah. Also, I should say, in case I forget, because this is the first one, we're kind of just throwing it all together. But I wanted to let people know that, like, if they had questions or like you're working on a build and you got questions about solving something, Sarah's in the middle of a build. So is Terry. So am I. So, anybody in the middle of a build, you could just pop in your question and we'll kind of go over it and see if we can all help each other. The idea, I was going to call this Rising Tide because Rising Tide lifts all boats. But I don't know. I just call it the Mr.G EV Hangout, so that was fine.
That works.
Yeah, that's basically what it is.
Are you doing this live right now on Instagram as well, or you're just recording it for later?
Oh, just recording it for later. But I probably should do live Instagram, but I don't know how. I guess I would have to get a holder or something. I feel like Tala could help me with this.
You're right.
Yeah.
I could help you.
Dude, it's a good idea. Yeah. So let me pull up your YouTube and let's go through this crazy project you got going on here. Did you document the off-grid system up here?
Ish. It was up. I pulled those videos down.
Okay.
Yeah.
Security reasons, the government.
Yeah,
I understand. All right. Well, we can at least talk about your Toyota.
Sorry, I haven't updated.
So this thing's like amazing. Are you guys seeing this?
Oh yeah.
And what an incredible build. So this is like, you want to give us an overview of this real quick?
it's a 72 Toyota Hilux, Tesla Model S SDU in it, small drive. At the back, DMW i3 battery pack, Tesla Gen 2 charger, and DC-DC. Those are the major components in it. Yeah.
What's the battery capacity?
It's a 33 kilowatt hour.
30.
So
Okay.
it's just it's a 96S 1P Samsung SDIs, I think they are, 90 amp hour. It's kind of crazy. It's just one parallel on those things, and they seem to be okay so far.
Those are pouch or prismatics?
Prismatic.
Very cool.
Oh, so I have a question, Johnny. Like, do you have to have 400 volts to run that motor?
Pretty much.
And
those things are pretty picky. If it gets too low.
And but you said you have 33 or 30 kilowatts total. Is that right?
33.
And yet it's set up in the parallels and series enough to go up to 400, huh?
It's just
okay.
a stock BMW i3 battery pack, and it's 96S, which is the same as what Tesla has. So I made that pretty easy.
Oh, no kidding. Interesting. Okay, so the capacity was enough that you can get around, and the voltage was correct. And this is something that I think is overlooked when someone's doing a conversion. How much capacity, but also at what voltage?
That and how much current can it dump? That was my biggest concern. I didn't really care about size. I just cared about how much current can I get out of the thing. And those cells were rated for 400 amps. And apparently they do 670. So it was a good fit for that thing, because the motor will draw around 700 amps. So it's still a little bit under, but it's fine. It's fine for that truck.
And what about would you consider that a C rating, or is that just what the pack can deliver?
It'd be a C rating, yeah.
Okay. Now, not a lot of people know what the C rating is, but I would attempt to explain it. Can I try this? And then you tell me if you think it's a good way of explaining it. Is that you have a certain capacity in the battery. So let's say the battery is let's say an 18650 is the top end is 4.2 volts, but the capacity, let's say, is 3 amps, or they say 3000 milliamps. If you are pulling 3 amps, you're at 1C. If you're pulling 2C, you'd be at 6 amps. Is that right?
It's perfect.
Okay. So it's just the C rating is just capacity, like how long that thing's gonna last, times 1, basically. So that's C1, now you might have a lot of capacity, but how much can you, like you described, dump? How fast can you get it out of the batteries without burning up the battery or burning up the pathway like on your bus bars, your connections to the bus, like the entire assembly is part of the equation. Am I right?
Mm-hmm. That's it.
Okay. Any questions on that from anybody else in the group? Have you guys thought about C rating ever?
Oh yeah, and you got to keep in mind there's different, discharge C rating versus charge C rating as well. So
that's a good point. I didn't differentiate that.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, like your charging might be different than your discharging.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Sarah, what battery pack are you using, if you mind disclosing your secret project? Do you know?
Secret.
Okay.
We're using a Tesla.
A Tesla pack?
Well, we're using Tesla Model S.
Oh,
battery.
okay. Like how many? Like I guess
5.
5. Okay.
Yeah.
So 125 volts, is that right? Or you're doing six modules?
114. Yeah. So 125. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So 5 modules. Okay. Interesting. And Johnny, do you happen to know what's the C rating on those? It's probably pretty high, right?
Hang on, let me do the math.
Okay.
670 divided by 90.
Is that a Hyper 9 system, Sarah?
Yes.
7.4.
7.4. It'll deliver that many amps. Oh,
No,
7.4 C rating.
Yeah.
That's a lot. That's times 3, right? Is it 3 amp hours?
90 amp hour.
Oh, wow. Okay. Oh, because of the whole thing.
Mhm.
Oh, all right.
Each cell is 90 amp hour, and remember it's just one parallel on that thing.
Oh, okay.
So they're huge cells.
Yeah.
Pretty huge.
90 amp. I always get lost in this math. Oh my God. So let's see, 90 amp hour. On 5 modules. I lost it. I got lost in the math. Damn it.
Well, I forgot. Do we get lost? Are we talking about Sarah's pack or Johnny's pack?
Sarah's pack, right?
Well,
okay. That's why I'm like, okay, that's why I was confused.
Can you repeat Sarah's specifications?
Okay, let's do Sarah again. Sarah, let's figure out your C rating there. So you have 5 Tesla modules from Model S.
They're 5.3 kilowatt hour each. And it's 114 volt nominal. I don't know how to calculate the C rating. So what else do you need to
know? Johnny's working on it.
There's going to be a SpaceX launch out here. We'll have to show you.
Oh, really?
Like 20 minutes, yeah.
Oh, we got to see that. Are you kidding me? Wow. Yeah, that's better than trying to figure out the C rating. Anyway, the point is you got to be able to figure out your C rating. This is stuff that people think about because you might spike. And what is the danger of not having enough amps? Does it kill the controller? Does anybody know, Johnny?
What's that? Sorry.
What happens if you don't have enough amps and you're demanding it? Let's say you're on the pedal, you're going up a hill, and you lose amps. Does it do something to the controller, or do you just get cut back a little?
The battery's gonna be pissed. That's about it.
Voltage sag. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so you lose, speed, and then you're also gonna. The BMS should shut it down at some point, right?
No.
Oh.
I mean, it depends on how you have it hooked up.
Yeah, depending on how you have it hooked up.
Yeah.
It's definitely it's not good on the battery life, certainly.
Yeah.
And what BMS do you keep on the truck, Johnny?
That's got a dilithium on it.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Now, does anybody have experience? What are the major differences between the Orion and the dilithium?
Oh no, I haven't really messed with the Orion. I know Mark has. Is he coming on soon? Mark Rems?
I don't know. I invited him. We'll see.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's messed with these a lot, but I know the dilithium, I don't know, it seems to be pretty good.
Okay.
So
So let's get the rest of the tour. Was there any surprises now that you've had it on the road? How many miles have you put on this thing?
Like 13 or 14,000, I think, something like that.
Okay.
It's been going over a year now.
Wow. What's the only?
I mean,
Go ahead.
the only surprise I had was I blew up the differential in it. So I had to rebuild the motor. That's why the can's red on it, because I had to go and pull the motor and rebuild it, put a new differential in it, and stick it all back together.
Yeah, his last Luxy video is his year update. If you want to check that out.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
One when I had the cover off the battery too, explaining that lithium.
Well, that's pretty cool. Is this one it?
That's the last. Oh, go look to the most recent video.
Oh, you know what?
The one.
Oh, there you go. Oh, yeah, 1 year update. Oh, nice.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go. Okay. Oh, this is pretty cool. A little ride along, little storytelling.
Yeah.
All right. Nice.
And so not to toot my own horn a little bit, but the rolling shots I filmed for Johnny so he could have some exterior footage for him.
It's good stuff.
Dude, awesome. I like the team up. You guys have been working together. That's great.
Yeah.
Nice. So what's the biggest oh, here we go. Nice. There you go. So what's the biggest surprise after a year of driving this thing?
Besides the motor, that's it.
Really?
Any wood here? I got some wood to knock on. That's been it so far.
Yeah. And if you were to do this again, would you what would you change?
I'd probably do a Model 3 battery pack in it instead of the i3.
Oh, okay. And how come?
Mm-hmm.
Why is that?
Just for range.
Where would you put it, since those are just in the bed since they're so long?
The Model 3 standard range, the 50 kilowatt hour modules will fit in that i3 box. So I know that I could fit, if I double stack it and then do 2 and 2 next to each other, I could fit it in that same area that the i3 pack is in right now. Which, I don't know, maybe down the road I'll upgrade it to that. Should be pretty cool.
Plus your tire situation.
Yeah, I mean, I learned really quick that heavy tires are really the worst thing you can do to an EV. Like, by far, is a heavy wheel. It's that rotating mass. And I kind of didn't think about that too much when I built it. And then once I started driving it, like, wow, these things suck. But they look cool. So.
They do look cool.
Yeah.
So the standard range, they're shorter, because I thought those modules were all like 72 inches, 73 inches long.
The standard range is what are they, 48 or 40? They're around 50 inches, something like that.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting. Okay.
And they're each 24S as opposed to, I think it's 23S and then 25S on the long range pack. So it's kind of a nice packaging with the standard range battery.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. You know, are people starting to use the Model 3 and the Model Y batteries as recycled batteries for EVs? I haven't heard anything about it. I wouldn't even know. So does anybody know anything about that?
You mean for powering EVs, you mean?
Well, like, okay, so I know the Model S, those modules, you know, that's been going for a while. You know, you can buy those from a lot of different people and then pull them out of the Tesla, you know. But as far as the Model 3 goes and the Model Y, is there a different challenge? I know they're different configuration, right?
Well, other than the standard that I'm just now hearing about, the biggest drawback I've heard is the fact that they're, 72 inches long. So it's very few. The form factor just doesn't the Model S modules have a nice form factor to them, obviously. Whereas if you're trying to put a module from at least the extended range Model 3, it's over 6 feet long. So makes the fit a little bit challenging, I would say.
Oh, I see. Oh, I see. Because they're like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So they're, I want to say maybe 14 inches wide each module and 72 inches long.
Very interesting. And would you keep the enclosure, or would you pull those out?
It depends on how you want to package them. Certainly, I mean, I think probably most of the time you'd pull them out and do your own battery box, fabricate your own battery box, especially if you're going to stack them or something. If you have the space to use them that way. I know, for example, the Conductive Auto guys out in Idaho on that 64 Galaxy they built, they used it as is because they were able just to put it between the frame rails essentially and use it similar to the way Tesla does. So nice and low center of gravity. They use the pack as is, to my knowledge, in that Galaxy build of theirs.
Interesting. Okay. How many volts is each one of these? I guess it would be, I don't know, like 1/4 of the 4. I think that's 100 volts.
Yeah, let's see, because it's a 400 volt pack. So I'm not that familiar with how they are in series. But yeah, typically, because you can see the two ones in the center are longer as well.
Oh, yeah. Look at that.
Yeah.
Johnny, have you taken one of these apart yet?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, interesting. And so they're 100 volts each, you think?
Roughly. Yeah.
Oh, I guess.
The LFP cells, they have a different voltage each, though, right? Because it's a different chemistry.
Mhm.
Yeah, because the standard range, at least the newer standard range, now have LFP cells, and those are not cylinders too, right?
I'm not sure. I've never taken one apart.
I think the standard range LFP pack is not cylindrical.
Yeah, those would be prismatic
Yeah.
if they're LFP. Yeah, that's cool though.
Yeah, this is an interesting thing. I haven't dove into this at all. That's pretty cool. So you'd use a Model 3, you think, Johnny, on the next one?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, just to get more capacity out of it. 20 extra kilowatt hours would help that truck a little bit.
What do you think the range is now? I hate when people ask me that question, by the way.
70 is about what it is. I could probably squeeze 80, 85 if I really pushed it, but I always say 70 to 90, so just so it sounds good.
Gotcha. How long till this SpaceX launch?
I don't know.
I thought you said it was 6:30.
Yeah.
It's only 5:30 right now.
Oh, it is? Oh.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
It's 6:30 here, so.
Yeah, we got a lot of people in the house. We got New Jersey, we got California, and Colorado.
Yeah.
Also, there's someone here that says Justin. They haven't said anything yet, but they're welcome to join.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hey, how you doing?
Sorry, just kind of listening in the background.
Oh, that's okay.
Homebrew Auto, right?
That's right. That's right.
Nice.
Yeah, let me get my camera on.
Cool. Yeah, send us a link and I'll put it up. How you
All
doing,
right.
Justin? Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
This is our first night.
Nice.
I think just send it in the chat, your Instagram, and I'll pull it up and we'll go over it. So I think at this point we could maybe Johnny and Talik, do you guys want to do like a tour of the system you have? What were you planning on doing with us? You're not on the spot. Don't worry. A little bit. No, it's all good. Do you want to give us like a tour, a run around of like your system?
Sure. I can open up the box.
Okay.
Sure.
Why don't you guys
in here.
Yeah, get that set up, and then Justin, send us your Instagram or some way we can find you. And while Johnny's getting that ready, let's talk about Sarah's project a little bit, if you want to. Okay, can I say what project you're working on, Sarah?
Sure.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So Sarah is doing something like a real fun small project that I think is the appropriate size to start with. She's doing a Suzuki Samurai. And yeah, so you want to tell us a little bit about the build, like how far you are, what's going on?
Unfortunately, I'm not in the garage right now, or else I'd give you a fly around tour.
That's okay. Tell us the premise, like what your goals are and where you're at. Keep it rolling. I'm just going to get my phone.
Okay. My friend Lauren, who I met, who I know from Louisville, Kentucky. Well, we didn't actually know each other there, but she knew of me, and she moved out to LA and wanted to start a business doing conversions, but she wanted to learn about the internal combustion engine first. And I teach workshops on basic auto care and like how to, change a tire and really, really basic stuff. And so she asked me to teach her about the internal combustion engine. And I had never really heard about conversions. But I knew I needed to teach her in relation to how a conversion would interact with the internal combustion engine, taking the engine out of the transmission and how that works. And so I started looking into it, and I was like, I don't know about this, Lauren, but I taught her the ICE stuff. And then a few months later, she was like, well, I still want to do this conversion. And I went and took a workshop on it. Would you be interested in doing the conversion for me? And I was like, I don't know. And she said, well, I'll pay for you to take the workshop. So I was like, okay. So I went and took the workshop, and that's where I met Ron. And I was still like, oh, I don't know about this. This is like, really complicated. And she said, well, if you aren't going to do it, I will find someone else. So I said, okay, why not try? And so we researched different vehicles, and she came up, it was her idea to do the Suzuki Samurai. So she bought a 1987 Suzuki Samurai on Craigslist. And that was April, I think. And
Sarah, let me interrupt you for a second. I
Okay.
just have to say that I really appreciate that you teach these intro classes. And is it women specific?
It used to be, and then it kind of, then I realized like actually there are a lot of men who would like to know something, who weren't taught this from a young age. And so yeah, like that guy, he was a military guy, and he had never changed a tire. I mean, yeah, I've met a lot of really interesting people teaching these workshops. And
I think you have the right premise. A lot of people want to jump into the EV game, and I always say to them, listen, you got to know how to do mechanics. And then they always choose some wild car. They're like, oh yeah, I'm going to do the heaviest vehicle I could possibly find. And I'm like, maybe start out with something smaller, like, like they're always going for like the Land Cruiser Defender or whatever, or they're like, yeah, we're going to do a F-350. And I'm like, nah, chill out. Yeah.
Ron, you also have one of my biggest takeaways from you being out here with the Volkswagen bus was you said, convert a car that's already a car.
Yeah, not a carcass. Not a carcass. It's got to run, and it's got to roll, stop, steer. Don't put $25,000 into something that doesn't work, like leaking from every seal, every possible grease fitting is just destroyed. Like, don't put 25 grand in that thing at all. And it's not just the money. It's you're going to be underneath this car for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. And then when you think you're done, you got to pull the whole battery pack out because you didn't connect one wire or whatever, like it's just, everybody needs to chill. Just roll slowly into this, please, everyone. You're going to be awesome, but just not right away. So Sarah, I appreciate you out there. You're doing the good work of teaching people the basics. Thank you for doing that. Do you still have these classes?
I'll probably teach one this spring. Yeah. Or I'll start teaching him again this spring. Yeah. But it's, I did a book on, I would do slideshows of like, I started realizing like I needed to make drawings of how to do things because the photos were too complicated and, too much information. So I made drawings from the photos that I had taken. And then I ended up publishing this little book through the Women's Center of Creative Work for Creative Work in LA.
Nice.
This is awesome.
Yeah,
I didn't know. I think, did you tell me that? I can't remember.
Yeah, they're reprinting it now. It was printed on a risograph machine. And so they're reprinting it and it's in the works. They only did 300 copies the first time. But so that's that story. And I've worked as a mechanic just for the last 8 years. I started working on cars, but I started working on motorcycles when I bought my first bike when I was like 18, and I bought 78 CB 400A Honda Matic and the manual and one wrench and taught myself how to change the oil. And then I tried to teach myself other things and I broke stuff. And so I started working as at this, that's another bike. That one I sold, but I rode that one across the country several times. And I did this project where I photographed women mechanics in their shops and I made calendars. So it's called the Female Mechanics Calendar. And I rode the motorcycle around the country doing that.
That's cool.
That is cool.
Yeah. So I've had like this gearhead life, but alongside being a photographer and an artist. And so it's been really cool, like having this opportunity to work on this 87 Suzuki and pull the motor and
this is it.
Yeah, that's it. And actually I have video of it running. So I drove it around and took video. It worked.
Right.
But now the engine's out and
that's the best photo right there. That's the beginning. Nice.
So it's been fascinating, but it's like all like the whole electric motor conversion it's all like very big learning curve for me. So I feel really lucky that I've had time. I have not put up any photos of the electric stuff, but I've got a table full of parts and we actually got the motor to spin 2 weeks ago, which was a big deal, but I built it on the bench before trying to put it in the car. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Nice.
What a relief. Just hearing that, like, that's a very practical approach. We did that. Basically, you can work in parallel. If someone's working on the car, then you can work on the bench, and set it all up. If you want to drop some photos in or just email it to me, we could send that. If you don't feel like that's okay, keep it a little secret. But it's very cool stuff. She's got it all laid out. And nothing's in the car yet, right? Everything's on the bench except for the motors in the car. Is that right?
Motors not. Nope, it's all on the bench. How about next week? I'll share photos.
Fair enough. No problem. No problem. Very cool. All right, and so thanks for doing that, Sarah. You're kicking so much butt. You took the EVLC class, which was super cool.
Yes.
And then you've collected a lot of data from multiple sources and you dove in. So
and I went and volunteered. So I met Ron at the EVLC class, and then I was interested in and I met you guys too, and out in the parking lot. Well, that might have been, I went and volunteered to work on the bus for like a day, and I helped
you put the bell.
I put the bell in. The pedestrian bell.
Yeah.
That was the one thing I did. But it was really interesting to see all of the people working on all these different bits of the bus. And I really appreciated Ron's spreadsheet of like, here's something that needs to happen. Here's the person who's going to do it. And I thought that was really well done. And also I took pictures of the the huge wiring diagram on the giant whiteboard, and I printed them out and used it as cross-reference with the wiring diagrams that I was given from where we bought our parts. So that's been really good learning tool as well.
You know, when it came to this bus, I was actually really nervous about doing the bus in a short amount of time. We only had 5 weeks last summer, and we started literally like this. You know, that was one of the pieces to the puzzle. I said, you gotta have the motor out when I get there, so that we can get started right away. And you know, it started out with us just coming up with this plan, real rough. Like, here's the front of the bus, here's the back of the bus, here's the bench top, here's what's happening at EV West, and here's the parts missing, and then some other stuff. And we quickly realized how important this was, and we actually put it up on a on the big screen. Like, we revised this so many times, because the idea was that like, even though I was managing the project, we have all these volunteers. So for instance, let's say Sarah, she came in and she says, hey, I'm here for the debt. So I'm like, okay, look, you're a mechanic. I don't want to insult you with giving you like a job. You look at the list and you choose what you feel like doing. And she's like, all right, look, I'm only here for a day, so I just want to get something done. And she chose the pedestrian belt, which is, that's still, you got to run the wires, you got to choose the right size, you got to put the fuse in, it's got to work, and you're dealing with an old bus, so there's like a lot to do. So she was like, okay, I'm going to do that. I was like, all right, perfect. And that's what people did. They would come in, look at the board, and then they would choose their own adventure, you know. But I said, okay, once you choose that, I'm putting your name on the list as the responsible for this part of the bus. So I'll pull up like my planning chart, and I would recommend this to anybody, is that when you're doing these projects, you really should assign a time, a place, you know, who's doing what and when, you know, type of thing. But that was a cool project, you know, so thanks for doing that. Let's see, you know, I mean, we literally started from like, you know, there was nothing going on. I'm going to try and pull up that wiring diagram. Oh, that's another thing. Get your wiring diagram done before you start the project. You know, this is I think it's one of the last pictures I took. Jeez. Oh my God, look at this.
So by the way, Ron, since you left, and that's now erased, but before they erased it, they took a color picture of it and did a 12 by 15 printout of it. So it's sitting there on the table for posterity.
Oh, that is awesome. That should get printed. That should be the ceiling of the bus. You could make a blanket out of this thing or something, you know.
That would be a cool headliner for sure.
I would wear this on a t-shirt, but the t-shirt's pretty wide. You know. But basically what it was is that the cool thing was we had a legend, right? So we had you know, we had this area where you had a wire, the crossing versus connected, wire done versus installed. So you might have made the connection, but you didn't put it in the bus yet. Not connected, labeled, location. We even had locations because not everybody knew where everything was. So it worked out. There's a lot of people that worked on this. I was kind of the coordinator, but there were a lot of people that really helped make this possible. I definitely could have done it without everybody. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, this is the best quality photo I have, but you guys have a better one. That's good. Cool. So let's see. Let's anything else you want to add, Sarah? Are there any deadlines or predictions you got coming up with your project? Oh, what about questions? That's the whole point of tonight.
Oh, what are my latest questions?
If you pull up some questions, I mean, you got a couple of people in the room that might be able to help. Can I say the question you were talking about?
Yeah, and I got the answer to it, but yeah, you can say it and then I'll.
So came up with a question. She just called me up. She's like, okay, the thermistors on the D-lithium, they have a certain like they have like 4 pins, and then there's 2 of them, and so you have to have them correctly wired. Otherwise, if you have 2 and you're in the wrong holes, you're not doing anything. You have to have it has to go to the correct pin out. So how did you find the pin out?
I never found an image of it online, like anywhere.
Okay.
And so I had to call. I mean, I talked to the guy that we bought it from, and he explained it to me. And Lauren was like, "So we've paid for a certain number of hours of like technical help from you guys. You know, where are we at now?" And he was like, "Actually, we don't keep track of any of that now because our documentation is so bad that you have to call us to get the answers to these things." So it was kind of it made me feel a lot better, like that I wasn't like, you know, what am I missing here? Oh, it's actually missing. It's actually not written I mean, I looked, you know, in dilithium and everywhere, but so I finally got an answer to that question and had to redo what I had done. But you know what? You learn a lot that way.
Are you talking about the pinouts from the breakout board on the Tesla module to the dilithium?
No, the right, Sarah. It's the where to put the parameter sequence.
Well, so the board that we have on our battery modules is a Stealth EV board, and it has the T1, T2, T1, T2. From there, it goes to the dilithium box, and there's a little, you know, plug there. And I couldn't figure out in that plug that goes to the dilithium
which 2 of the 4.
Yeah, where to put the T1, T2? Do they go above each other or next to each other? Like, and so I finally got the answer to that. Is that what?
I think we're talking about the same thing. I think there's some way to measure the resistance between like 2 of the 4 pins to make sure you're looking at a thermistor value, right? Then if it's like miswired inside, I don't know. I think it changed on the Tesla side. So when we use the breakout boards, we have to test it, you know, to make sure we're getting a value.
Something like this.
Well, there's that I've used that for, but that doesn't include the thermistors.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I use that religiously every time I plugged in everything to the batteries. Before I plugged it into the dilithium box, I checked it to make sure I wired it right. But that doesn't include the thermistors.
I remember those. Oh my goodness. How many times we were going on the pack with that, Ron, huh?
Oh yeah. It's incredible.
I do have a video on all that stuff too on my channel. Because I did I do have a video on the dilithium BMS on my channel.
Okay.
If anybody needs any help on that.
Okay, let's see if we can find it. Maybe you guys can drop it in the chat.
Yeah, I'll get it in the chat.
I'll pull it right up. So something I was talking about the summer, the summer planning. Just to go over it real quick. Literally, this is kind of a mess because I left it alone for a while. But basically, I was planning this 6 months out. And what I started doing was I said, okay, what are all the steps? So, you have to first thing you need a video editor, but we never got one. But anyway, so new batteries, check the old batteries for a charge, make a space, like where are you going to put the car, remove the engine, remove all the gas systems, engine bay and transmission, steam clean, lay out the EV parts, So what happened was I knew that I would get there by about July 10th. And so what I said was, I said, hey, did you guys pull the engine yet? And they said, oh, no, we couldn't pull the engine because of such and such reason. I said, oh, no. That would bring us off schedule, And if I didn't have a schedule, I'd be like, whatever. I knew we had a deadline. So if you're ever doing a project like this, I would recommend making a schedule, even if it's false. Just make it up. Put some numbers in there. Put some dates, and then if you get set back, that's where you can push. So I called Tom and I said, Tom, you said you were going to pull the engine. You got to pull the engine. And he's like, hey man, listen, man, I changed transmissions on the ground back in '69 when you were nothing. I was changing a Volkswagen transmission. And I'm like, great. Can you do it today? He's like, so this is the kind of shit that you got. And Tom's great. I love Tom. But, he's like finicky. He's like, oh, I don't know. I can't get it done today because of this thing. And I was like, no. Who do I got to call? Like it's happening, So anyway, we got the engine out of there. And then when I showed up, it was beautiful. It was ready to go. So that was cool. So, and kudos to Tom. He got the bus painted. He checked on the brakes. He did a lot of stuff before I got there. And so that's that preparation that people might take for granted when you're doing a project. I would recommend make sure this thing actually works, because you're going to put a lot of time into it. And even if you're doing like a gasoline swap, what people think about is the go, but what about the stop? Like, do you actually have brakes that work? Like this would be a problem, So the faster you go, the more you're going to need to stop, And I know Johnny probably knows about that. I mean, Johnny's been doing hot rodding forever. So I'm sure he probably put in some crazy motor and was like, we'll get to the brakes later. So anyway, this is what I recommend to people. Have a schedule and really like comb through it. And something else I did that is this might sound obvious to people, but for the first time ever, I kind of like opened my playbook and I was like, look, this is my schedule. What am I doing wrong? And so I had Spicer from EV West criticize it. I had Bream criticize it. I had anybody I could, really, even Tom, who used to work on boats, just criticize my schedule. And the reason why is because you're not going to think of everything. And I know that I'm not going to think of everything. So that's why I wanted the criticism, and I kept on adding things until we got to a point where it had less holes in the plan, So that's what I recommend to anybody doing this, Okay, let's shift gears a little, and let's go to Johnny. Johnny, you ready to give us kind of a tour? Oh, you're cutting out a little for some reason. The video's good. Okay, for some reason, Talik, the sound is cutting out, but the video's good. Yeah, let's let them work that out for just a second. And what I'm going to do is Johnny dropped in. This is for Sarah right here. This is wiring up the dilithium. And he's got a whole video on that. So that could help you out right there. Did you pick this up from the chat? Did you see this little link he has?
Yeah.
Okay, so make sure you grab that, and maybe that'll help you out. And then bring your questions next time. Okay. Talik, did you guys work out the sound yet? That's so weird. The sound was working before. Damn. Technology. Yeah. Bad sound. Okay. I don't know what's going on there. They're going to figure it out. Okay. And Justin, we'll go to Justin for a little bit. Justin, you want to give us kind of like, what's the overview? I've never met you. I don't know you. Do I know you?
We met briefly. I'm
so sorry.
Not even, was it called EV 101 or before like the official classes started at EV West? We did like a 1-day thing and you were down there. And And then I came back.
My 1-day class?
Yeah, I was there for that.
Oh, that's awesome. Did you build a little car? Oh, let's see. Johnny, try it again.
Is that better?
That's better.
A lot
Yeah.
better.
Weird. Okay.
Yeah, that's way better. Okay, Justin, we're going to get back to you. We're going to go to Johnny, and Johnny's going to give us a tour off-grid system. Anyone can do it. Come on.
All
give
right.
us the tour. Go for it.
I'm going to take a chance picking this thing up.
You're good so far.
There we go. All right.
Yeah,
So
you sound good.
this is my main, or I guess, system that's up here on the property. There's that battery pack in there. There's more batteries right here. There's 2 solar systems running it. There's one MPPT right there, and then another one over here, bringing in power. And then I have a 5 kilowatt Ames inverter. It's just 110 volt, but it runs everything just fine.
Okay.
Yeah, whole lot of juice in here. It's about I think it's like 12 or 14 kilowatt hours worth of battery. So
that's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
So
how many volts are you pulling in from the panels?
one's at 60 and the other one's at 100. And then this MPPT is taking in 100 volts from 2 400 watt panels, and then this one's taking 60 volts from 6 250 watt panels. And so
okay, and wait, I got a dumb question. These guys are taking in 2 different voltages from 2 different style panels.
Yeah.
But yet the output, does that come together to charge your batteries?
Yeah, because both MPPTs are gonna kick down to get the voltage right for the batteries.
Oh, so I didn't realize that. Now, so you can run them in parallel, is that right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Interesting. So if you can, in other words, you can mix and match panels as long as you have 2 separate controllers. Is that right?
Yep.
That's great for recycling, right? I didn't realize that.
Oh yeah.
Well, and also most of the panels he's using are second-hand use or third-hand.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's
pretty cool.
Yeah, like the entire roof of this little shed here is all solar panels, and those are they're like older 250 watt panels. They weren't producing a whole lot, but might as well throw them up and use them while they're still making something. And so that's all going through this one, and then the other ones are on that guy.
Dude, I had no idea. So that's actually really interesting because if you're trying to recycle panels or someone gifts you some panels, you just need to set it on a different controller if they don't match the voltage, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And what's that?
Oh, good. Sorry.
Oh, and what voltage do you charge your batteries at? What's your is it all together?
They're just lead acid, so they're 48 volt. 48 volt. They're around 55 volt is full, somewhere around there, or something like that. It depends. Lead acids kind of float all over the place. Anywhere from good.
Oh, sorry. And does the charge controller, the MPPT, does that have to be set for lead acid versus lithium, or is it just set the voltage?
No, yeah, you have to set it for lead acid or lithium or whatever it's going to be running.
Okay.
It's mainly just based on voltage. It has nothing really. I mean, that, and then the algorithm for lead acid versus lithium is different because these have to float charge. Basically, the way that these things balance is they overcharge for a little bit, and it brings up the low cells.
Oh,
so that's kind of a getaway of doing it, but that's how lead acids work. So.
Oh, okay. You can never do that with lithium. Don't overcharge them.
Oh no. I mean, well, you could once.
Yeah. You could do it once.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not having once.
Yeah. Yeah. Without a shoot.
Okay. Oh, no problem, Terry. You got a charge or something or rejoin? That's okay. Thanks for joining us. Yeah. Okay. And so okay, what's next? So now you go from your panels down to your charge controller to the batteries. Now, what kind of inverter? Like how many kilowatts is that?
It's a 5 kilowatt pure sine wave inverter.
Oh, that's big, right? That's kind of nice.
Big monster.
Yeah. And is it just one?
Yeah.
So it's just one, and it's putting out 110 AC.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, very cool. And what do you think your demand is? Do you ever go past it? Do you like
when I use it on my welder, it beeps sometimes. That's about it. It's never shut off.
Wow.
I ran my air compressors off of it, and it seems to be okay.
Dude, a compressor and welder, these are like demanding things.
Mm-hmm.
So you saw the video before it got taken down, right?
Yeah, he was like,
so, all that welding was done with that inverter before he installed it in there.
Wow, no kidding. That's
and
amazing.
the other day we had we level 1 charged his Hilux for like a couple hours on level 1.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, so that's 110, right?
Yeah.
So,
But it was a solid 1.1 kilowatt for like a couple hours.
Yeah.
And because you can't do 220 because you don't have the inverter for it.
Yeah.
Do you have to have 2 inverters to do 220, or is there a 220 style inverter?
Yes and yes.
Okay.
You can get 220 only. You can get most of the bigger inverters are 2 110s, and they link them together.
Yeah, out of phase or something. You know, I did over last summer. I don't know how I pulled this off, but right in the middle of the bus build, I flew to Illinois, and in Taylorville, Illinois, I did an off-grid system with 2 Victrons.
Yeah, those are cool.
These big monster Victrons, and they're out of phase, but they're doing 220.
Nice.
Now they haven't charged. What?
Well, it's funny like you said Victron, because so many of the off-grid channels I'm watching, they're all getting these Victron, and they're doing exactly that. Like one of them has 20 kilowatt 240.
Oh, we lost you for just a second there, but yeah, you said that you saw the channels using Victron. Victron apparently is a good one. They're expensive, and I haven't really done that much research. I really went on recommendation, and luckily I was spending someone else's money, so I wasn't too worried about it. But if I was spending my own money, I probably would try and find a less expensive inverter. They're not like horrible. It's about $1,400 for a Victron 3K 110. You know, what's the ballpark on the 5K that you're using? Is that in the range?
$1,100 for that one.
Okay, so less expensive, more power.
Yeah.
All right.
I've always loved that company. They've done pretty good with their inverters. And my Powerwall at home is using 2 of their smaller 1,500 watt inverters. And I put probably, I think, almost 7 megawatts through those things over the years. So,
wow.
Okay.
What company is that?
Ames.
Ames.
Mm-hmm. AIS.
I'm going to try and find it. Oh, okay. I see. Ames. Okay,
Yeah.
This is it right here.
Yep. I've used them for more than 10 years now, so they're pretty good.
Okay, dumb question. What's the difference between the modified sine wave and the pure sine wave?
Just the waveform itself.
Why would you need the pure versus the modified?
A modified's just, I mean, technically they're all modified. I mean, nothing's really putting out a pure sine wave unless it's a generator. But it's basically just the waveform, the way it's shaped. Like a modified sine wave is more of a notchy kind of wave.
Yeah.
And obviously square wave is, that is.
This is it right here. This is the one you have.
That's it. Yeah.
Oh, and have you just directly hook up your 110 right to it, or did you pull off of here and set up like a breaker?
I'll show you.
All right.
If that thing doesn't die. So okay. So it's going to here to the breaker box.
Nice.
So yeah.
There you go. And
Yeah.
how many different circuits you have? Just 2 or 3?
Just 3.
Okay. Yeah, that'll work. Right.
The main breaker is technically on the inverter. It's a 60 amp breaker on it.
Okay.
And the inverter is meant to be on 24/7. So it's actually meant for off-grid stuff.
Sweet. That's cool. So you can charge your car. You can run your now. How do you run the welder? Oh, on 110. What welder is it? Like a MIG welder?
It's one of those Harbor Freight specials.
Dude, I gotta tell you, I use a ton of Harbor Freight. All the green one, the titanium. Those are good.
Yeah, I have their yellow or orange. I don't know.
Oh, the something Victor or whatever. No,
yeah,
not Victor. Vulcan.
But it's funny because I've been welding for a while, over 20 years, and that has been a really good welder compared to like even a Miller. Like I've had tons of Millers before, and that Harbor Freight welder, I'm like, damn, this thing's really freaking good. So,
Dude, I'm telling you, it's underrated. You know, I know that a lot of stuff's made in China, and people are like, oh, I don't want to support the Harbor Freight. But here's the thing: Harbor Freight's a California company. It's an American company, and of course, they make most of their stuff in China, but they do innovate. They come up with good ideas. They're always trying to serve their customers. And what's really cool is Harbor Freight will give money to shop teachers in American schools. They fund programs.
oh, that's
Yeah. So I'm in the running for an award, and so far I got a $1,000 gift card, and I used it to buy. Thanks.
Wow.
I used it to buy a trailer for the off-grid system we're doing, and then all my private business, my teaching welding and teaching small engines and electric cars. I just go straight to Harbor Freight for most of my stuff. So far the students haven't broken it, and they're abusive. So,
that's awesome.
Is it the Vulcan welder?
I've been using the titanium, but the Vulcan's what he's talking about. Yeah, it's just like their mid-range is the green stuff. This one's
orange. The Vulcan's the orange one.
Yeah. Whatever you do not touch the lower one, the black and white one, the Chicago Electric. Even if someone gives it to you, throw it out. Okay. This is not a gift. Someone gave up, and they're like, oh, yeah, here's my trash. No, it goes the bottom of the barrel, then there's the mid-range and the top.
Yeah, somebody just let me borrow the Vulcan, and I haven't fired it up yet, but
nice. They're really good welders. You'll like it.
Nice. That's cool. So, okay. So now, and then how did you mount your panels? Is it like are you doing some sort of tilty thing? Did you check your where the sun is going and stuff like that?
Not yet.
That.
Lots of little angle bracket.
Yeah. Yep. That's
it's a custom fit right there.
Yeah. Home Depot.
Although eventually you might be doing a
solar tracker. Yeah.
Eventually.
Yeah.
Now, what percentage do you get with the tracker? Like, is it worth it?
I don't know yet. It seems like it.
Well, so while he was in the welding phase for the array over there, I was bringing up my portable Harbor Freight solar panels to power the Blue Eddy, so I'd have some power to work on my computer before this was set up. And when I had them out here, the sunset is this is about 1,600 feet. So you look out at the sunset, and your body's perpendicular to the sun angle. So I had 100-watt panels facing this way towards the sunset, still getting about 80 watts. Meanwhile, these or the other ones, they're almost flat. So the angle really does give you a lot. So if you can get more of your afternoon sun, it definitely makes a difference, at least at that particular time.
Interesting. Okay. Interesting. We were looking at a tracker for our project, and for the high school project, and we just came up with, that'll be like part 2. For now, we're just going to do the, kind of like just get her done type of thing. And so we're not going to have a solar tracker. But yeah, we've heard that matters, which way it's facing. So this is like an AI image of kind of what we're doing. Not as big as what we got. But sorry, this is actually bigger. And there's a lot of popcorn over here. And a coffee maker.
AI created image there.
Dude, yeah.
That's pretty weird.
I'm telling you, AI is fantastic for coming up with ideas, because you basically talk and you just come up with a prompt. And I'll try and pull up like the other AI, like my AI stuff. That we came up with some ideas. Let me see if I can do this. Let's see, AI. It was such a cool thing, and you came up with all these ideas of like how we want to do it. If it's going to have food, if it's going to have like, is it going to serve? Is it going to be like a place for a laptop? Is it going to be like an office? What are the different purposes that we're going for? And we used AI to come up with that. I'm trying to find it. Jeez, I don't know where it is right now. Oh, that's too bad. Yeah, I don't know where it is. Oh, maybe it's in sharing. Anyway, yeah. So the tilting of the sun thing is, it's good, but you got to decide if it's worth it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm sure it is. Seems like it from when Tolak was just taking the panels and moving them around and facing them at the sun. It was a pretty substantial difference. So
probably if you're limited on panels, like if you're trying to get every last watt out of your panels, for sure. But if you got like a ton of like cheap panels and you can just have a high surface area and not worry about it, then you probably don't want to mess with a tracker, because you have enough panels that throughout the day you're just going to collect what you need.
Yeah. So here's some of the AI images, and they're actually kind of funny. Like, yeah,
I like the panels are not even.
Yeah, some of them make sense, but some of them do not make any sense at all. Like, how about this? It's like,
it'd be fun to have AI make a video game that you play and just run around like GTA, but AI created it or something.
Weird stuff, man. Look at this one. They're just, and we just threw stuff in, like, yeah, and it's a microwave, and it's got popcorn, and like the kids just threw at it,
That's funny.
Yeah. But it's amazing because like you wouldn't know, like it kind of looks real. Like it's even got like knots in the wood and like places for the screw to go in and stuff, and spices and whatnot, shadows, stainless steel versus the wood. Like it's really detailed.
I think it needs to learn some engineering at this point.
Yeah, that would be funny. Oh my God, that is too funny. Oh, here we go. And I also did it'll do a lot of stuff. Like this is what it does also, like outdoor systems. You can do, we did like, this garden is not real. And you didn't have to do any CAD. They were going to do a raised garden bed for the school. And so they just came up with these AI things. Anyway, we're off topic. Anyway, cool. So, all right, that's pretty much the tour of. Is there anything else you want to show us about the system out there? What about heat and air conditioning? Yeah, heat and AC. You got a mini split?
What's that? No cooling or heating right now. Just jackets and pants.
Okay. Nice. Yep. There you go.
Or a fan.
What do you got there? Are you going to show us something? I feel like you're gearing up for something.
Yeah, that SpaceX launch. I'm just topping off my camera battery.
Yeah, we're trying to make sure that we can catch the Starlink trail and all that.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's so cool. So when are they going?
It says 7 o'clock now, I think. So probably after we're done, hopefully.
Oh, okay, I got you. That's pretty cool. Dude, it's pretty incredible what they pull off. It's a very prolific situation there. This is it right here, Starlink mission.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you can watch it live.
Yeah, it says it starts at 10 o'clock your time, 7 o'clock our time.
Okay, that's pretty cool. So I could probably listen to it on the way back home. Okay, well, you know what we could do is let's shift gears over to Justin before we wrap up. Let me ask you: is there anything else you guys want to show us out there on the off-grid system?
I think that's good for now.
Okay, that's cool, man. And you have it's not just installed yesterday. Like this has been running. You've been upgrading it.
Yeah.
That's great.
It's definitely beefed up now, so it's able to, supply a lot of energy.
Nice.
Talk why you're using lead acid.
Oh,
yeah, good. That's a good question, Talik.
It's easy. I don't have to sit here and worry about cell balancing and all that stuff. And even, I could use LiFePO4, but I don't know. Lead acid just kind of a no-brainer when you set it up and like a set and forget system.
Mm-hmm.
Especially since the system's... Oh, good.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, especially since the system's always on and operating, and the panels are producing enough juice to keep everything lit anyway. So.
And
nice.
these are secondhand too, also, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So part of it is, the mission and passion of Johnny and myself, we share this, is that, reuse before you recycle. So before you want to throw or recycle these batteries away, they still have literally a shelf life for this function here. So being able to reuse stuff before you can get rid of it.
That's pretty cool.
Like if I upgrade my truck's battery from the i3 to the Model 3, then I'll probably end up with using that as a power wall or something.
Oh,
just
yeah.
Keep it going until it's absolutely gone, and then recycle it.
Nice. What was I going to say? The lead acid batteries also probably don't have to worry about any fires or anything like that, because if you kill one, it just goes dead. It's not going to light up or anything like that.
It's less stable too, but anything will blow up.
Yeah. What about if your batteries go they stop functioning, but you have power from the roof? Will the inverter still run? Do you need the battery storage to make the inverter run, or can you run just on sunlight?
Depends on load. I probably wouldn't like doing that. It's basically using the batteries as a capacitor too. So
got it.
I would say no.
Okay.
But technically, I don't know.
Just as a kind of related question, the vehicle to grid or vehicle to vehicle or vehicle to off grid, in these conversions, do you think you'll see more and more where people, let's say you drive out to the country and then you can run everything from your truck, or you fold out an array of panels and just charge up for the weekend or something? Are you going to see more and more of that, you think?
Probably. I'd assume so.
Okay.
One caveat is making, as long as you have enough juice in the pack to get back to the truck, whatever your next charger is. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Okay. And what about, do you have that on your truck? And can you run, is there an inverter on your truck?
No, I can't.
Okay. Not yet.
Not yet, until Ames or somebody makes an inverter from 400 back down to
right.
110.
You're up at 400. Right. I forgot.
Well, I wonder with Cybertruck going 48 volts, that would be a nice parallel to 48 volt inverters, right?
Well, as soon as people crash those things, they'll go pull that inverter out and use it.
Those bidirectional things.
Yeah.
The other thing though with lead acid is you got to make sure there was ventilation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they do produce hydrogen when they're charging. That's the big thing about lead acids. So they have to have ventilation. So there's 2 fans on this thing, pulling and pushing air in and out of there to cool the inverters and the MPPTs, but also to ventilate that out. And then the shed has a bunch of holes in it, so it just leaches out of here.
Okay.
Yeah.
And, okay. Dumb question. MPPT versus PWM. Do you know the difference? Can you explain that? Okay. What's going on with that? Because I don't know if everybody knows, but you basically have solar panel. I'll set this up for you. The solar panel, you're getting voltage that's coming up as the sun rises, and then the voltage is going back down as the sun sets, or your angle. And so you have this variable voltage, and then that has to be changed into something you can use to charge the batteries, which is the 48 volt nominal, but really it's around 55, I think is what you said. So what is the difference between the style? Is the the MPPT versus PWM?
That's a PWM, pulse modulating with. So it's basically just taking the voltage and scraping off whatever extra voltage that the panels are making, and just whatever's left is what it's putting into the battery. Whereas the MPPT is max power point tracking. So it's taking the voltage and the current and converting it down.
So you lose with the PWM.
Yeah, you lose a ton.
I just put this together in my head.
Yeah.
PWM is great for when you're taking from a battery to a motor for speed control, because you're not wasting, you're just using what you need to turn the motor. But if you're producing panels, you want to catch everything.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't want to chop. You want to use the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the difference?
More or less, yeah.
Okay. So how does the MPPT do it? Is it it converts everything instead of chopping it?
Mm-hmm. Just converting the higher voltage back into current and pushing more current.
Got it. So it's more efficient.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Okay, so that's what you want. Is there ever a situation you'd want the PWM solar controller?
Something that's really cheap that you don't care about leaving, like, I don't know, some cheap system. I mean, basically, no. They suck. They're just an older setup. I mean, this controller right here, this is a PWM. It's a nice one from Schneider, but this is 8 years old. And it's just, I don't want to use it just because it's so inefficient. So
Got it. Okay. All right, good. That cleared up something for me, because I never knew, why the application, I guess that has to do with cost and, how much you care about getting all the stuff off the panel.
Yeah.
Okay, pretty cool. So, all right, so let's switch over to Justin, and I want to show Terry's project, and then we'll wrap it up. So Justin, yeah, tell us about yourself. Tell us about your project. What's going on, man?
Sure. Yeah. So, yeah, met you briefly at that day you were at EV West, and then I came back for I think it was like the EV 101 class.
Was it a 101 like making little cars and very hands-on, or was it the 3-day?
Oh yeah, it was a 3-day. It was a 3-day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was it in the middle of the winter?
I don't remember. Maybe it was like
Was Terry there?
October. No, so I didn't go to the first one. I know, like, that's where, like, because I talked to Lauren at State of Charge.
Oh, okay.
And she said she had went to the first one. I went to the second one, I think, which was in October. Anywho, but yeah, I always been a kind of computer nerd, and also had a passion for cars on the side. Our family's kind of obsessed. We got this hobby going on. So before the Spitfire, I gave you a link in the chat for my Instagram. I worked on a Falcon, and it had a big V8 in it that was, trying to suffocate me every time I drove it. So, and I was watching more and more videos on YouTube, and shout out to Jehu and those guys. But I wanted to convert something, and I wanted to start small. So Spitfire is just about the tiniest car you could think of, well, I guess besides the Beetle. But I had a friend I bought the Spitfire from, and to get started there. And with electronics background, I'm software engineer by trade, so that stuff's pretty fun and interesting to me. And so to combine it with the car, it's going to be an interesting challenge. So each day, a little more progress. I try to post on Instagram as much as I can. I'm learning a ton thanks to, guys like you. Then yeah, along the way, if I can also teach some people, and maybe come up with some tools to help others, that's the goal. So
Rising tide.
Yeah, you're right.
Oh, you got an EVLC shirt on.
Right now.
I'm on the wrong tab. I'm so sorry.
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome, man. Oh, good. You got the stepper bit. That really helps.
Yeah.
Sheet metal. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
those battery boxes, man. If I were to do that again, I would definitely go back and weld.
Oh yeah. Oh, label maker.
Yep.
The Spitfire's cool. Oh, look, the tank's coming out.
Yep. Tanks out, engines out.
Nice. And what's this? Doing a little CNC on your adapter plate there?
Yeah. Made friends with a really great machinist, and he's helping out on the project. So he sends me updates here and there. Yeah, and like we are like open to sharing with others. So if anyone else is converting a Spitfire, happy to share like the STL files, make adapter plates, all that sort of good stuff.
Dude, that's awesome. That's really nice of you, man. Yeah, rising tide lifts all boats. I mean, obviously, if you got proprietary stuff, you're doing a business, but I mean, if everybody's helping each other, it's going to go a lot better. That's pretty cool. So what are you putting in there? Necking or something else?
I was originally going to go with like an AC35 or an AC50, but actually at State of Charge, I talked to someone. I think his name was, no, I talked to John from Thunderstruck actually.
Okay.
And he turned me on to the Mot-Energy, the little 1616 like pancake style motor. And like it's a tiny car. I'm not looking for a ton of power, and I'm keeping the stock transmission, so I don't want to break anything either. So I went with that, and that's what we based all the adapter plates on. So that should hopefully be enough power for this thing.
Can you drop it in the chat? What's the motor you're putting in?
Oh, sure. Yeah, Mot-Energy. I'll put it
M-O-T?
M-O-T-E-N. Well, M-O-T Energy, yeah.
ME1616.
Yes.
Oh, I never knew about this one. Oh, can't go back. Can't go in there for some reason. This one. How about this one? Oh, wow. Look at that.
And so liquid cooled, it has a range of voltages it can take in. So I'm going with 6 Tesla modules. That puts me at around I can't remember right off the top of my head.
I was trying not to interrupt him by us laughing or something.
Wow, this is cool. Interesting. That's a very short package right there. That's pretty cool.
Yep.
Now, why this over let's say a net gain?
The reason is because there's a front cross member in that car, and the AC50 or the Netgate would have I would have to cut it and stuff. So this was like nice and short, compact.
Gotcha.
Cheaper too.
Yeah, a little cheaper. I think a little lighter too.
And is it the same amount of power, or is it different?
It's about the same as I think it's about the same as an AC50.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Maybe a little less, yeah.
Nice. You're keeping the transmission?
Yep.
Nice. Pretty cool, man. All right, well, keep us updated. Do you have a schedule?
Well, I have family coming out for the Long Beach Grand.
Do you have a schedule?
Okay. I have a rough schedule, yes.
Do yourself a play. Do it for me. I'll sleep
right.
better tonight knowing that you have a schedule.
All right. You got it.
Write the whole thing out. Put any number you want in there, but you gotta write that thing out.
I have a deadline I'm trying to beat, but I gotta make it.
That's good, but you need milestones.
Yeah.
What's your deadline?
Family's coming out for a Long Beach Grand Prix, so mid-April.
Okay, so it's a public deadline. Like you have to have it done.
Well, now it is.
And did you tell people?
Just
told us. Told all of us.
Yeah.
Good. We're gonna hold you to it, man. You better come back on the show that day. That's
all right. Hold me accountable.
Nice, Justin. Thanks a lot, man. All right, let's hit Terry's project, and then let's get out of here. They got a launch to watch, and I got to drive. So, Terry, man, let's go over here. I did a little interview with you. I was out in Colorado for some snowboarding, and I hurt my arm. And luckily, I was like, all right, I'm taking the day off. Let me call Terry. He's down in Denver. So he was like, yeah, hell yeah, let's meet up. So we went to this little secret location. And Terry, you want to tell them about the project you're working on?
Sure. It's a 61 Corvair Lakewood wagon. So it's a compact wagon made 61 and 62, only 2 years. And air-cooled rear engine from the factory. I think it had 80 horsepower is all. So you don't see them too often, and I'm kind of a sucker for old 60s wagons. So, yeah.
Nice. What about, do you have a lot of photos? I think this video has some, but maybe we could find a way to get some photos going.
Yeah, there might be some on Instagram.
There we go.
There it is right there.
It's cool because it's a Corvair wagon.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's something different,
Yeah.
And you got plenty of room. Okay, the motor's unique. Are you allowed to talk about that thing?
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
So this is Maverick 25 motor. Excuse me. So it's 255 kilowatt peak motor, direct drive. So, base loosely, if you will. I mean, it's similar to, a Tesla small drive unit, I suppose. It's being made currently in China, but they're looking to open a facility here in Texas. Actually, I think any week now, in fact. So currently, there's only 2 of them out in the United States, actually 3 now. So I have one, Amper EV has one, and then a friend of mine here in Colorado that just moved back to Colorado from Connecticut just picked up the 3rd one that he's planning to put in a TJ. So.
Oh wow! Do they have a website?
I don't think so just yet.
I can't look it up or something.
Yeah. So basically. Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know that he does. I think on Instagram he's Maverick 25 maybe, or Maverick EVM. I want to say.
Okay.
Super nice guy. I got to meet him in person out at SEMA. He came out to Vegas from China, and like I say, he's setting up shop in Texas, and he's big in. So in addition to this motor, it looks like he's big into the Baja scene, so he's building a buggy, I think, over in China, and he's doing some other components and parts as well. So it'll be kind of cool to see what else he ends up with releasing
right here.
Yeah, yep. So that's it in the Amper EV, I believe, in their little buggy.
No kidding.
Yeah. So, and he's doing a e-axle as well. So I think that's what that is showing. Yeah.
Wow.
That's gonna be really cool. That's gonna be so helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. There's the little stubs.
This is Brandon in the middle.
That's Brandon. Yep, from Amp Revolt.
So we're gonna have him on the Shop Class podcast the second week on the 10th, July 10th on a Wednesday.
Nice.
So tomorrow's Gadget, and then on the 10th is Brandon. And now you can see why I need a second podcast, because it's like all EV guys jumping on the Shop Class podcast, which is great, but it's saturating the Shop Class. We need to have more wood shop and metal shop and architecture and stuff like that. So I want to diversify a little. But yeah, this is great info. I mean, geez, like Johnny, is this kind of a game changer because you don't have to go salvage anything, right?
Yeah, that's a pretty cool motor. Is there any specs on it as far as like gear ratio and what voltage and everything it runs on?
Yeah. I might even have it on this laptop. It's a 400 volt system, 255 kilowatt peak.
That's literally like a small drive unit then.
Yeah.
Which is really cool.
And then he's making a second one, a little bit smaller one, meant to be. Yeah, there's his little, I think one of his Baja buggies that he's doing.
It's cool.
Yeah, he's doing a smaller, lower powered one with just like a single shaft output, meant for more, for a transverse setup type deal.
That axle thing's gonna definitely take over all the straight axle stuff. That's so cool.
Yeah, I think he's a big fan of the FJ40s. So I think that's kind of the market that he's looking at going after.
Especially what I did with my truck with the DDL, and I don't have to do that anymore with this setup, which would be really great.
Yeah.
Can you imagine you just take your differential out and just put this in?
Yeah, it'd be sweet.
Ron, that's a pretty good segue into like the future of this this space of the EV conversion market. Is that brought it up? There's only so many Model S wrecked Model S modules sitting out there, and as this space grows, or I should say, reusable Tesla motors and whatnot, or Nissan Leaf motors, at some point we're going to need more new products to help convert all these older vehicles, and actually will probably end up being a better solution, or more modular or plug and play, and help make the conversion process even easier.
Oh yeah, that right there is a hell of a lot better than any Dadeon setup. Like that.
Wow.
That'll make it so much easier.
Wow. Especially. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I mean, like just installing a motor is like a matter of hours of that.
You could like, am I right? You could probably leave the leaf spring, pull the drive shaft, pull your axle, throw this thing in there, hook up your springs and your shocks, hook up the wires, and then put your pack somewhere close by. And I guess if you can figure out how to put them between the rails the way Johnny did, then bam.
Done deal.
Yeah. The only thing is you hope that it's strong enough to kind of match the performance of a live axle that normally would be expected,
Yeah. I'm sure it'd be strong enough. At least for road cars. I wouldn't off-road with it, but then again, I don't know. I mean, that's but yeah, because right now I'm doing a Nash Metropolitan with a Dadeon and Nissan Leaf motor, EM61, and so this would be killer for that.
That's awesome. And just so people understand what Johnny's talking about, let me just show you his Dadeon setup. Basically, the way I describe it, it's like oh, here we go.
There's the Hilux.
I'm gonna stop talking. It's right here. Wow.
I've been wanting to post all that stuff on a GrabCat or something, just so people can use it.
Dude, that is a beautiful setup. So just imagine a C clamp, and then here's your like your motor is your fist, and then there's like a C clamp, and the C clamp is your axle live, and then it floats with the suspension, but your motor's not moving. It's such a solid setup. What a cool thing. And then you kind of did like a little retrofit with some modern hubs, right? Did you use
they're okay.
Yeah.
They're Model 3 hubs.
Nice.
So I like using those style of hubs. Like the Metro, I'm going to use the Nissan Leaf front hubs, which is basically the same thing. It's like a little 4-bolt deal, and it's all just a little little bearing hub unit. So makes it cheap, and they're like, if I ever blowing up, I can just go to AutoZone or something and get one for $150 like today. And like that's kind of how I build my EVs too, with just making sure I can get parts when these parts start to fail, like the Tesla chargers or the DC-DCs, the motors, the battery, all that stuff. I can just go and get it, pretty easily, either eBay or someone. So, yeah.
That's super cool.
Yeah. Just stay away from as much custom parts as I can.
That's really smart advice. I always try and explain to people, don't reinvent the wheel. Yeah, I always tell a story. I had this student once that, showed up with, they showed up with like their whole car torn apart. And I was like, oh my God. He's like, oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I was like, so let me get this straight. And it was a Mazda. And I was like, let me get this straight. Mazda created this company far before you were born. They had all these engineers, and then those people had kids and families and retired, and new people started working there, and they built up this global company. And here you come, and you're like, nah, I'm going to throw that whole thing out. I'm always like, please, just build a little bit above or change one or two things. The car is great on its own. They really did do all the research. Like they took it to like wind tunnels, torture tests on dynos and crazy suspension and stuff. Let them have their day. Like you don't have to disrupt their entire setup. They did it for you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's why I try to use OEM parts as much as I can. Like on the Hilux, the DC and charger are stock Tesla parts. So I know they did a lot more testing than anyone else has to make sure that stuff works. So
exactly. Now, just a random question: did you have to modify the frame rails to get this to fit?
The rails, no, but I did cut some cross members out and remake cross members. And then the battery pack itself had these little flanges on it where it used to bolt into the car. I just cut those off, and the rest it just dropped right in.
And also, that's not the 72 chassis, right?
Oh no, it's on a 1989 chassis, the whole truck. So,
so if you try to build a Hilux and you're like, why doesn't it fit? Because Johnny doesn't have the Hilux.
It's not a stock frame, but luckily Toyota frame rails are super, super wide, so I was able to get that in there. But if you ever do a Ranger, be careful because the rails are pretty skinny on those.
Okay, gotcha. Oh, look, you can see the C.
Yeah, that's the Dadione, and then none of the cross members are in there yet on that photo.
Okay, I got another dumb question. So what about the weight of the pack plus whatever the capacity of the truck was supposed to be, which I think on my Ranger is about 1,000 pounds. Does this change now that you have this?
Those rear springs are a lot gnarlier. They came from actually Dutchman, Jake.
Oh, okay.
They were front springs from a 4-wheel drive straight axle Toyota pickup, but they're also modified from National, so they're like even beefier than they were stock. So I just took those and put them in the back, so that it can hold the extra weight of the battery back there. But they ended up being they're pretty stiff. Like I'll load that thing down with another 1,000 pounds of weight, and it doesn't sack it down too much. So other than that, when I weighed it when it was done, it was 2,700 pounds. So and stock that's what they weigh. So
wow, yeah, my Ranger weighs 3,000 pounds, so that's kind of like in the ballpark.
Yeah, I just shifted the weight back.
Yeah. I guess that's probably where it's supposed to be anyway, because that's the drive wheels. But okay, I got another dumb question. When it comes to capacity for, like, this is not an EV question, but this is just in general. When it comes to capacity of a pickup truck, is it just the leaf springs that decide that, or is it combination of the frame and the leaf springs and the hangers?
It's mostly brakes. That's how they rate trucks.
Oh.
Mostly brakes, mostly chassis and springs and all that come into play, but a lot of it is your stopping power.
Whoa. I never thought about that. That's a good point. Interesting. Yeah, that was what we were talking about earlier. If you go faster, you better be able to stop.
Yeah, or if you're carrying an extra 10,000 pounds, you got to stop that. So
yeah, and like Ron, I was telling you I built a 52 Ford F3 truck. And the big difference there between the F3, which is the 3/4 ton, versus the F1, it's instead of being a 5-lug wheel, it's an 8-lug wheel, and it had additional leaves. It was like a 13 leaf pack in the rear or something like that. So, kind of a combination of things. Otherwise, it's it's the same truck essentially as a F1.
Oh, okay. Speaking of stopping, Terry, how's the brakes on that on your project?
On the Corvair?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know, because I broke your rules. So I didn't start with the driving. Well, in theory, I guess it was driving, but I never drove it. As soon as it came off the trailer, I yanked the engine and transaxle and everything out of it. So I have no idea how the brakes are on that thing.
Oh man, you broke the rule, Terry.
I broke the rule. Yeah, did not start with a running and driving vehicle.
But rules are meant to be broken, and there's something to be said about diving right in. Please take a look at the brakes, man. Come on.
Yeah. So since I'm under there, as they say, it's like I'm replacing most of the stuff anyway. So as you saw when you came by, new coils, new shocks, new bushings. I've got wheel cylinders on the way. I'll do new brake lines, et cetera, et cetera. So, but the that motor will have regen capability, and so I'm not too super worried about it. I'm not gonna bother doing like a disc brake conversion or anything like that. Casey out of Electric 51 Speed Shop, he did that 58 Apache with the Tesla large drive unit. And he presented 2 years ago at State of Charge, and he kind of like smirked at during his presentation because somebody asked about brakes, and he's like, "Well, don't quote me, but I think brakes are overrated." He's like, "You don't really need brakes when you have regen on these things." So I mean, certainly brakes are important and good to have
until you have a full pack.
Yeah. But,
or if you drive in New Jersey or on the I-70. Dude, I thought New Jersey traffic was bad. I had no idea.
Oh, yeah. You had
jam
ski traffic.
Back from the mountains to Denver, it's basically 3 hours of like a 60-mile traffic jam.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Anyway, all right, well, let's wrap this up. This was a very successful night. I really appreciate everybody coming in. We got to learn something about aftermarket products. We learned about people's projects. We shared some stories, and I think this is important. It sounds crazy, but weekly is kind of the way to go because not everybody can make it all the time, but that's okay. I'm going to try and do this weekly. We'll see how long I can keep it up. Because when you kind of say like, oh, we're going to do it like next month, or you always just put it off, So we're just going to go for it. We're going weekly, and come in with your questions. I could probably take questions ahead of time. I'll post this up on my YouTube channel, and this is great because really, like, I didn't know that much about the motor you're using, Terry, and that there's this other version, and we just never know what's exactly going on. It's kind of like your show, which is State of Charge, like what is happening in the EV conversion space. And Talik's on top of a lot of manufacturers, but also on top of the recycling and EV conversion. Johnny's always doing some cool project. Sarah's out there. She's going to bring a photo album next time, right? And Justin, we're going to hold him to the to the schedule. I want some milestones, man. This is what's going to happen. He's going to do nothing, and then whoosh, the workload is just going to go through the roof. He's going to have like a 3-day bender. I'll get it done in a weekend. I've seen that happen. The only person I know that can pull off a weekend bender workout, like just changing a truck completely, is Johnny. And he is not human sometimes. He is a machine. He will work till it's done, regardless of food or sunlight. Nothing like that matters. So that's the only, and it'll be accurate the first time. So, but not everybody's like that, especially me. I need time. So, so plan ahead, everybody. All right. Well, this is pretty cool. Thanks for coming in. And, this is awesome. And good luck to SpaceX tonight.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks for doing it, Ron. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Definitely.
Awesome. And good seeing everybody. That's probably the most important part, Yeah, definitely. All right. I'm going to end the recording here. Thanks a lot. That was the Mr.G EV Hangout. Episode 1.
Later. Thank you.